Hello students, in this video we will discuss a summary of the first part of the essay Writing from the Margin. Here Shashi Deshpande writes about the challenges faced by women writers and the opportunities provided by feminism. She quotes several instances from her personal life and traces the development of her ideology as a writer. Now, let us look at the essay. The essay begins with a question: is writing by women meant only for women? Is women's writing a separate genre different from men's? There is no doubt that gender plays an important role in our lives. Men and women differ in their bodies, attitudes, ways of looking at things, and emotional behavior. Some of these differences are inherent in us, it is there by birth, while others are socially conditioned. From the time a baby is born, it is surrounded by ideas that associates its gender with a certain way of dressing, behavior pattern, a certain place in the home and life, etc. In spite of these differences, we share the common destiny of all living creatures, such as birth, growth, survival, and death. Also, the same human destiny of pain, suffering, joy, and hope. These factors which unite us are more important than the gender differences that divide us. It is we human beings who have made these more important. Writers do carry their gender differences into their working lives with them. Since our experiences are different, we inhabit different worlds. Here, Deshpande is talking about men and women. The experiences of men are different from that of women, so it is like we are in two different worlds. It is their worlds that writers recreate in their creative imaginations. So, what they experience in their lives, they write in their writings. Deshpande says her writing originated in the fact of her being a woman in the society she lives in, and it is shaped by that fact. The way she sees the world is colored by the fact that she is a woman and the historical and social circumstances. Her themes and characters, and even her language, to a certain extent, may differ from a man's. And this is due to the difference in their experience and outlook towards life. Physical conditions in which women write vary enormously in case of a woman because of her role in life. For women, there are certain built in problems. Life isn't very easy for a women writer. The challenges are struggling to find enough time to write and to convince oneself that one needs to write in spite of all obstacles. There are also struggling against generally held convictions that writing does not earn money and that it is a waste of time, and that the primary role of a woman is that of a homemaker and not that of a writer, and that writing for a woman can be a hobby and nothing more than that. So these are the problems faced by a women writer. In addition to this, a woman has to fit her writing to a routine so as to cause no inconvenience to anyone else. Trying to find a publisher working against the male bias is something which every woman writer must have experienced in her life. So, the problems faced by a woman writer are different from that of a man because of her distinct role in her life. She is at the same time of a homemaker as well as a writer. So she has to find time for both and balance her life in such a way that both are not affected. In spite of all this, Deshpande says that when she sits down to write, gender does not matter to her. While writing, she is concerned with the problems as other writers, such as the problem of language, narrative structure, and continuity. She goes through the same struggle of finding enough time to write, same moments of frustration and euphoria, balancing writing with the pinpricks of daily life. Just like others, she wants to write and wants to be published and read. So, the problems of being a woman are there. In spite of those, when she sits down to write, it is like every other writer. What man faces as a writer, a woman also faces. They have the problem of language and how to express it, whatever their feelings are, and how to get their works published. These are the concerns which every writer faces, and a woman writer also faces the same problems. Thus, the factors that unite us are far more important than the gender differences that divide us. Then, why is women's writing, when it deals with women's lives, are considered to be insignificant and marginal? Why the society treats the writing of a woman as of second rate? Why is women's writing considered inferior to men, and that it only interests women? To answer these questions, Shashi Deshpande says we need to go to our roots. Why are women's writings considered inferior to that of men? The fact is that we live in a patriarchal society and patriarchal culture with its laws, customs, practices, and beliefs that gives importance to men, to their needs, their occupations, and interests, makes a woman's concerns inferior. From time immemorial, men have been given more importance. So, naturally, their writing gets more importance than women's writing. As Virginia Woolf points out, the history of women is invisibility and silence in public life. Women never come out of their homes and they are most of the time silent. This is what Virginia Woolf points out in her writing. Just like women's lives are considered insignificant, women's writing is also considered minor, inferior, and trivial. When seen through the colored glass of patriarchy, that women's lives and works take on a tinge of inferiority. Because we all are patriarchal in our attitudes, women's works appear inferior to us. Serious literature is supposed to be written by men about men, and when women write, it is not just writing but always women's writing. So, marginalization begins when a writer is introduced as a women writer. At the very moment, the writer is edged away from the group of writers in general. According to Bengali writer Navanita Devsen, usually writers are so segregated when compared to other professions. So, Navneeta Devsen is a Bengali writer and wife of Amartya Sen. She used to say that we usually emphasize on the point that a woman a writer is a woman, whereas when we talk about singers or dancers or painters or any other profession, we don't emphasize the word woman. We just say singer, dancer, painter, etc. But when we refer to a woman writer, we say woman writer, not just writer, but we address her as woman writer. So, this word woman writer is always heard more loudly than any other profession. So, Miss Sen asks, is writing a cerebral activity that women are incapable of? Why should we say that so and so is a woman writer? Is writing something which women cannot do? Is it such a cerebral activity? Cerebral means something which requires a lot of intellect, brain work. So, is it cerebral activity that women cannot do? Then Shashi Deshpande gives instances from her personal life. She gives example, one of her personal life examples. She says when she went to the editor of a Sunday newspaper, newspaper, with one of her stories, the editor asked her to give it to the women's section. This made her disappointed and disheartened. All the time she was giving her stories to the women's magazine and had expected that this time it will be published in the main sheet. She hoped to find a place elsewhere. The anger she felt at the time is expressed in the character of Jaya of her novel That Long Silence, to whom the same thing happens. Deshpande's experiences forced her to learn that women's lives and experiences can never take on a larger dimension of being human or universal. She also learned that writing about women never comes into the category of writing about important issues. So, women are always in the margin, they don't come to the mainstream at all. The writer of that newspaper who rejected her story was interested only in important issues. Women's stories are not about important matters. So, this attitude of the publisher shouldn't have surprised her. And she gives the example of Hindi movies. She says Hindi movies, which are always a good reference point for general attitudes, had songs sung by women in which she referred to her life as Choti Si Duniya, Chota Sa Sansar, Choti Si Asha, etc. So in Hindi movies, whenever the heroines talk about or sing about their lives, it is Choti Si Duniya. That means small world or small dream, small desire. It is never a big or important thing for them. In women's world, everything is tiny and sealed down to less than normal size. So, women are, as per the general popular movies, Bollywood movies, they are not supposed to have important concerns or important dreams, beliefs in their lives. That is what is driven to our minds from a long time. So, she should not have expected a better attitude from the publisher. That is what she says here. Shashi Deshpande also points out, in spite of writing 8 novels, nearly 100 short stories, and getting 3 national awards, and having students from all over the world researching on her writings, her name does not appear among the names of writers who have stellar roles. She is not one of those very famous or talented writers. She is never considered in that group. This is because her work is labeled as women writing. She is considered to be a woman writer. That is the reason she is not considered among the great authors. She asks how this is possible even after a century in which feminism has been such a major force. So here Shashi Deshpande talks about the role of feminism in the writing of women, and how it has changed the position of women. She remembers that while preparing for a seminar, she realized that she too had been imbued with the idea that women's lives had less importance. She accepts being brainwashed by culture. She had tried to get away from the taint of inferiority by having a male protagonist and a male narrator. She realized that it is men who consider women's writing as inferior, minor, and trivial, and she need not give up her identity as a woman to intellectualize her writing. Now, here Shashi Deshpande tells us that to get into the mainstream or to be recognized as one of the great authors, she had tried putting in a male protagonist and a male narrator into her writing. But then she realized that it is not necessary, and it is not the media or common people who give grades to the writers, but it is men who consider women writing as inferior, minor, and trivial. The intellect and emotion in her writing is her own. So Shashi Deshpande wants to be an individual. She wants her writing to be authentic. She doesn't want to give up her identity as a woman just because she wants fame or recognition. So she wants to put in her own authentic intellect and emotion in her writing. It is the subjective assessment of men who regard writing by women as unimportant. It is men who consider writing by women as unimportant, or it is about small issues of life. And it was with the short story, The Intrusion, that Shashi Deshpande realized that she was writing not only a woman's voice but an authentic voice. In her novels, The Dark Holds No Terrors and That Long Silence, this voice was both loud and clear. That Long Silence was about the world of women. After she finished writing it, she was certain that no one would publish it. The novel, however, was important to her, and she uses Naipaul's words here. She writes, "Defined myself through my work in it." So, that Long Silence is kind of autobiographical novel in which she tried to define herself through it. With this work, she had sealed her identity as a woman writer and as one who almost always wrote about women. She was putting herself out of the mainstream and into the margin by writing about women, but her writing was rooted in her consciousness of what it was to be a woman in the society she lived in. So the fame that long silence got made Shashi Deshpande recognized as a woman writer. That means the moment that novel got published, she became one of the marginal writers, one who wrote about women and her experiences and how it is to be a woman in the society. And then, Shashi Deshpande also talks about the impact of feminism on women writers. She writes that by the time her novel That Long Silence was published, feminism had crept into the country through the work of some women activists. Women's problems were then began to be confronted as public issues and not domestic issues. Feminism became a popular, a political word, and political correctness ruled out derogatory remarks against women and their works. Thus, That Long Silence came to be considered as a feminist work in India. Feminism has changed the life of women. It has caused a rethinking of the whole issue of women's lives, their roles, and their identities. It has given them opportunities, confidence, and a lot of strength. Sandra Gilbert questions what has caused the cultural alienation, silence, marginality, and second status of women. In quest of the answers, feminist criticism has achieved much. Women writers have been discovered and recovered. They have been published and reread. Women's writing has been reviewed with a new vision that rejects the male norm. The charges of women writing as marginal, trivial, minor are no longer tenable. Feminist theory says that we can no longer assume that the writer, reader, or critic is a male. When we read, we have to take into account the fact that men and women have different experiences, values, ways of expression, and even language. In a sense, men and women inhabit different worlds. An effort should be made to understand each other. It will no longer suffice to be dismissive. Then she quotes the work of some writers like Elaine Showalter, Ellen Moas, Susie Taru, and K. Lalita, who unearthed, reviewed, and revalued women's writings, use of words and phrases like a tale of triumph, celebration, a joyous retrieval, etc. So these are the authors, Elaine Showalter, Susie Taru, Lalita, and others. They recovered the writings which had so far been ignored, and whenever they brought these works to light, whenever they republished them, reviewed, and revalued them, the words and phrases used by them are tale of triumph, celebration, joyous retrieval, etc. All this work has given a stamp of scholarly respectability, acceptance, and self confidence to women writers. With these changes, her novel That Long Silence came to be regarded as a critique of man woman relationship, as an analytical exploration of a woman's self, divorced from her roles and from her gender confinement. However, these changes brought in by feminism were short lived. Her next novel, The Binding Wine, was called a novel about a middle class Indian woman by a national magazine, though it had more serious and pertinent issues of marital rape in it. Women's writing has become a category which is separated from the rest of literature. Women writers are always spoken of in the context of other women writers and never of writers in general. So she says women writing has become a separate category now in which there are only women writers and nobody else. Women writers are always spoken of in the context of other women writers, never of writers in general. If literature has to be divided on the on the grounds of gender, then it should have two categories like men's writing and women's writing. But now, what has happened? It is writing and women's writing. Now the two categories are one broad category is writing, and another smaller portion of it or appendix of it is women's writing. What is even more pernicious than this division is the presumption that somehow it is less significant and they are considered inferior also. Once, a famous male author regretted the lack of significant women writers in India. So Shashi Deshpande responds to this, article that came in the newspaper, and she said, when she looked at the list of writers he considered important, she found that the things that mattered in his opinion were rootlessness, the idea of belonging or being alien, Nehru's India, secularism, disintegration of idea, India as a nation, etc. So these are considered to be matters of importance by that male author who did not find any significant woman writer. In Shashi Deshpande's opinion, there are many powerful and good women writers in India, but none of them wrote exactly the way the famous author wanted them to. So they were not writing on rootlessness or idea of belonging or being alien or Nehru's India. They were not writing on those topics mentioned by that famous male author. So just because they are not writing on it, we should not consider them as inferior. It occurred to Shashi Deshpande that there was something wrong with the vision that dismissed them of no significance. Here she is asking, why should we have such a criteria to see who is important and who is inferior? So why should they write only on certain issues? Why shouldn't they write on other issues such as concerning women? Shashi Deshpande then remembers when she was asked by a young woman who was working on her novels that why Shashi Deshpande's women characters get their self-realization from within the domestic sphere alone. Why is she not depicting them outside her domesticity? So here one student who was researching on Shashi Deshpande's novels asked her a question in one of the conferences, why she is not making her characters rebels. Why can't they come out of marriage or family? Why they are still staying in their family itself and not coming out of it? So Shashi Deshpande, when she thought about this question, she realized that knowledge always starts from within and that it comes out of the fight within oneself. She also quotes U.R. Anantamurthy in this to support her statement. He said, "It originates in the question asked by oneself." So, statements like personal is political, theories about the subordination of women, and the power equation only affirmed what she had discovered through her own life. So, we need to examine ourselves and try to understand ourselves first before reacting. That is Shashi Deshpande's idea. So she does not consider the world of woman small, trivial, or insignificant anymore because she has realized that gender does not make anyone less valuable or belittle her ideas or writing. Then she talks about the even in 21st century the world of woman or the word woman itself carries a pejorative connotation and is still loaded with the weight of insignificance. Therefore, when a woman makes honest articulation of her painful or joyous or meaningful experience, it becomes just a woman's experience. This idea is deeply rooted in India, and the derogatory terms coined for women's writing include domestic literature or kitchen literature, make it clear that women's literature is considered as marginal, inferior, and insignificant. So, women's writing is always considered as inferior, and the terms that are given to it are kitchen literature or domestic literature. And she also says that Nobel laureate Naipaul made a comment like this, that the issue of gender oppression as being banal is a significant pointer to the fact that women, their lives, and their problems are still looked at as being unimportant and boring. So, even somebody like Naipaul thinks that women's lives are insignificant. They are rarely seen as they really should be, as different, a difference that matters. Then she talks about the famous Urdu writer Ismat Chugtai. When she passed away, the poet Javed Akhtar is supposed to have said, if she had not written, how much of that world of women would have remained unknown to us. So, Ismat Chugtai writes about the personal feelings, challenges faced by a woman inside most of the time in her private space. So Javed Akhtar says that if Chugtai had not written, we wouldn't have known that hidden world of women. That is what women writers are doing. Women writers open up virgin territories, pushing back frontiers and letting light into hitherto dark ignored areas. So, in Shashi Deshpande's opinion, women writers bring in new kind of literature. They open up newer possibilities, and they concentrate on the areas that are considered to be dark and ignorant. According to Rosa Luxemburg, it is in the tiny struggle of individual peoples that great moments of history are most truly revealed. We can know about these tiny struggles only when they are written about. How can we call these marginal when they perform so important a function in human history? The editors of Opening the Gate, an anthology of a century of Arab women writing, say that it brought about the recover of a debate presumed not to have existed. It brings out of oblivion a portion of human history. We have lost a great deal of this because of the invisibility and silence of women. It is one of the achievements of 20th century that we are now emerging out of this. To call this writing marginal comes out as a profound ignorance out of a bias that shows bigoted minds. How can we ignore the literature written by one section of society? That is a question asked by Shashi Deshpande. Then she quotes Meenakshi Mukherjee's words. What is sometimes forgotten is that metaphors like center and margin are language specific as well as location specific. A Hindi or Bangla writer in India today may be quite surprised to know that he or she is supposed to inhabit the periphery, read by tens of thousands of people at home, figuring centrally in literary and sometimes political controversies over issues that are important in the country. They are naturally seen as being situated in the hub of a complex and populous culture. Now, see, when we go out of India, dominant literature like that of Hindi and Bangla is pushed to the margin. So, Shashi Deshpande wants to add the dimension of gender to this. She says that when readers are women, even if there are tens and thousands of women, their weight is immaterial, more so when the writer is also a woman. So, women writers and their work is considered inferior even when they enjoy a readership of tens of thousands of women. She points out that even the public who watch movies in which there is a female lead role consider it condescendingly and say that it is ladies' subject. Shashi Deshpande remembers that whenever she is interviewed, everybody wants to know whether her next novel will also be on women. She remarks that writing about women or to have a female protagonist is to have a bad habit which one has to get rid of. So that is the behavior, attitude of those who interview her. It is as if writing about women is a bad habit which one has to get rid of. Then she quotes Margaret Drabble, who said that in the Western tradition, it is not possible for women to be considered marginal. Shashi Deshpande remarks that in India, no literary tradition can save women from being marginalized because our culture is deeply ingrained with the idea that women have a separate but inferior place. Women can become ministers, prime ministers, and professionals, but that has not changed the situation of other women. In our culture, the worst insult that can be told to a man is to wear bangles. So that means to become effeminate. In such a culture, there is no hope for women to come out of their special inferior status. They will remain confined to the zanana or ladies' compartment or ladies' seats or whatever is allowed to them by men.